podcast brought to you by Roughneck Stars and Golden Gold Press, as always. I am Dave Stevens. I'm with David Sterling. We are not with Tony Pervenanzi, who is actually serving a one-game suspension. Just kidding. He's unfortunately couldn't make it. He was planning on it. He actually planned the trip for us, bought the hotel, looked into everything, but last minute couldn't make it. We might talk about that later. It's safe to say we miss Tony, but we're going to kind of struggle on and a little bit. So we might have to struggle through this a little bit without him, but we're going to give it our best and see what happens. But we are actually joined by Chad, Thomas, and Corey of True North Elite. We should be joined by Connor with Flock Forward Union, part of the Flock, later on in the episode as well. And of course, I have to mention where we're at. We're at the One Barrel Brewing Company in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. So we've got a lot to talk about today. We've got to go over Minnesota's form or lack thereof, maybe over the last three games. We need to get into the last three league games, I should say, because then we're going to talk about the U.S. Open Cup match against Sporting Kansas City just a few days ago. And then we're going to get into a few other things. Of course, we're going to talk about Forward Madison. We're going to talk about the Flock and Forward Union and the rest of the supporters groups here. And then hopefully get into a little bit of the U.S. Open Cup discussion.
And of course, we're going to mention the World Cup. And
the World Cup. We'll bring up a few things about that. And why don't we begin with the brewery, One Barrel Brewing Company. It's about a mile northeast, I guess you could call it the east side of Madison. It's about a mile away from Breeze-Stevens Field. What do you think?
It's a nice spot. I love it's obviously an old building. They've got a small brewing operation, and then they contract out for everything else. Really cool spot. There's a lot of people here. In fact, when we first got here at noon, immediately following us, there's a group of like 10 bikers that showed up. And by bikers, I mean bicyclists. It's a fun spot. Their beers are great. You've had a couple beers. I've had the breakfast beer, which was an Imperial Stout. Fantastic beer. They serve it in a coffee mug, which I thought was pretty cool.
And of course, I think a few of us are having, but definitely got to bring up the Forward FC, and that's the beer that I'm having. It's actually a cherry Kolsch, but we're going to buy a 6-pack later, but they can it, they sell it to the local stores. Obviously, it's Forward Madison themed, and the cans look great. And as far as the cherry Kolsch goes, outstanding.
Yeah, it tastes fantastic.
Yeah. The other one that I've enjoyed so far is the Wango Mango Tango. It's a mango blonde ale, and I thought of John Andriski when I tried it because it's something he would love. It's a really, really light beer. It's actually not as fruity. You see the word mango, I get a little worried that maybe it's a little bit too fruity, but not at all. It's extremely light, easy drinking. Great. What do you guys have? Forward FC?
I have a Forward, yeah. I also have a Forward.
Good choice.
Corey, what did you have to drink?
Mountain Dew.
All right.
Yeah, I should mention that, thanks to Adam. He's the general manager here today. He's been serving us the beers. He's been very welcoming. Actually, the entire place has. And it's a great spot. Like you said, we're used to kind of going into breweries when they open up, and usually it's kind of empty, at least for the first hour or two. But this place is hopping from the get-go.
Yeah, I'm glad that we came here at open because it would have been bad otherwise.
Got tucked in here, and I will mention just that they're actually 4 weeks ago they opened up a second tap room up in Door County, Egg Harbor actually to be specific, but that was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's a place that as a Wisconsinite you are supposed to go.
Yes.
At some point in time in your life.
Beautiful summer.
So far, I have not.
Oh, you have?
No.
I've been up there for work, but I have never vacationed.
I've been up there in the winter time.
Okay.
Fishing.
Okay.
Up there during the summertime, but I heard it's really nice.
Yeah, I've heard great things, and now there's a brewery up there. Well, at least one. Sounds good.
Yep.
So let's get into the game.
Now, like I said, lack of form. The Loons are actually on a a 3-game losing streak in the league play, that is. So we want to touch on the games. You might kind of go through them a little quickly, especially the ones that happened as we sit here and speak maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So why don't we start, like I said, real quick, because it kind of was ugly, especially at the end with Atlanta. In Atlanta, it was a weekday game. It was Wednesday, I think the 25th of May. Ended up losing that one 3-0. It probably sounds a little worse than it actually is. David, what are your thoughts?
Well, initially, my thoughts are fuck Atlanta.
Yep. We can all rag on that one.
And I just feel like we were a little bit outclassed. And I don't know if it was just the away game experience that we've had over the past 2 years, now 2.5. But it just felt like Atlanta was a bit sketchy this first part of the season, and now all of a sudden they're kind of getting their groove. Hopefully not, but maybe. And I don't know, Joseph Martinez, I mean, he scored 2 goals. We had some chances, we didn't finish. Brad Guzan had a save that, my God, I don't even know how it didn't end up being a goal.
So I was in Australia. I didn't get to see the match. I was pleasantly surprised, like you said, it because of BN Sports. You can actually watch MLS games in Australia in real time.
Yeah.
But so I didn't get to watch the Atlanta-Minnesota game. But how about in the first 23 minutes before Atlanta scored? Was there any kind of sense of a game?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, I haven't been impressed with Atlanta all season. So overall, I was feeling pretty confident that we might get some sort of result.
I thought we started off pretty good. Like even after we went a goal down, we were doing pretty good. And then it was like that last 10 minutes after they scored the second one, and it was just downhill from there.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, like the Joseph Martinez, you mentioned his 2 goals. Wasn't that was in extra time?
Yeah, that was like in extra time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, not pretty. Anything else you want to add on that one? Otherwise, we can skip right through.
They have a really nice following on the weekdays, apparently.
Oh, how was the crowd?
It looked empty.
It was a lot lower than usual.
They advertise that they're like the biggest, have the most fans, but if you have the most fans, your fans would show up for a weekday game. Look at us when we played LA Galaxy. Our stadium was pretty packed.
Well, and your fans will also show up when you're not winning. And I've seen on Twitter that they've complained about the fact that they've lost 10,000 fans from their average or whatever it is. And it's well, that's because half your fans are plastic. So
I may or may not have made an angry tweet about that after.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Yeah, so
it was long enough ago. It's not worth talking too much.
So, and then, like you said, midweek game. It's tough to travel on a midweek game. Part of the MLS schedule. It's just going to be happening. But then it's the following Sunday. Then they played Philadelphia at home, which I guess that game's fairly significant for one reason in particular. But again, I was out. So David, I'll let you kind of give your view of that game to start at least.
Yeah. So it was the Pride match. We got to see the training tops, which I thought they were pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I liked them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we didn't sell them beyond the stadium, right?
So they're sold in 3. The way they do that kind of stuff is they sell them in 3 tiers. So first, Fanatics sells a certain number on their online, and then the team sells a certain number, and then Adidas sells a certain number. So I think Adidas went on sale last weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but at the stadium, it was minimal. I think they had 200 for sale.
Yeah, I had to get into the stadium about 60 minutes before the match started, and they were running low at that time. I managed to get one myself, but they were out of certain sizes.
So you could get one now, though, through online?
It depends on what they have left. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's only through Adidas, because Fanatics sold out in a couple hours. At the stadium, they sold out in a couple hours.
And a bit disappointing for the fans. We didn't get to see the Pride Tifo.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
Yeah, it was kind of windy.
Technical difficulties, yeah. It was very windy. I mean, I can understand based on home opener I can get that.
I'm pretty
I get
sure
that.
we'll see it in the near future.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought, we had our chances.
It was a really great penalty or free kick. Not
Yeah.
penalty kick.
And
Free kick was
that's the
amazing,
big thing.
and Vito had no chance on that one.
Yeah. And my biggest complaint with that game, which I'll reiterate again with Colorado, was we cannot win games where we control the game.
Yes.
It's incredible. And I wish that people would pay more attention to our Twitter account, because I post these things
Yeah.
and no one pays attention to it. And it's like, my God, we've only won one game where we actually had more than 50% possession.
And that's what I always say. If we're going to win, I actually prefer to see our possession percentage under 40%.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So this one against the Union, it was 54% in favor
Yeah.
of the Loons. So.
Right.
And statistically, 29 shots. 29 shots.
14 blocks, right?
And that, 14 blocked. I think
Yeah.
that was one off the MLS record for block shots in
Really?
a league game.
Yeah.
Which is remarkable. So, we're talking about the lack of form. There are 3 winless games, and so from you guys watching this game, at the game, what's your feeling now? Is it? It's not lack of chances created then if you have 14 blocked shots. Is that just bad luck?
So my thinking is they took too many shots where they took an extra step, an extra dribble, angles were off, things like that. They were also taking a lot of shots from 15 yards out plus, so they weren't getting it, closer to 6. They weren't. It was just bad shooting, bad touches. So
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I think I mentioned this maybe in our texting.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where they just don't seem to know how to place a shot.
exactly.
It to me seems like they're looking for that play that will get them the goal, and they get up there to that final point and they don't connect the pieces or take the moment of opportunity to make the shot that would get us that goal. They take their time and then they've lost that window of opportunity.
Exactly. It's there's no one times. There's no take a step and shoot. It's take a step, think, take a step, shoot, and it's too late.
It's interesting you bring that up, and I mean, I could relate it to hockey and actually Minnesota Wild. I feel like over the years they've had trouble scoring, and I think it's been because of the fact that they try a little too hard, or maybe that's not the right word. They might be trying to get the perfect goal. They're trying to be fancy.
Exactly.
I feel like that's what Darwin's trying to do a little bit too. He tries to be a little too fancy, and then he just kind of like misses or something else happens.
The past couple of matches that we've had the shots line up on the side where we pass it to the center in the box, and then just by that point their defense is already in there along with our player. It's hard to get that moment of opportunity when you're trying to make the plays from the side, like that.
And it's hard to talk about this now that we've had a good game in Open Cup.
Yeah.
But Darwin, my God, I mean, he's obviously been on a slump. Something's gotten in his head. Maybe it's out now, maybe. But it's one of those things where it's like, look, you were the number 1 guy last year. You're not the number 1 guy anymore. Deal with that and figure out how to work with your teammates, because it just seems like, and I'll bring this up with Colorado talk, it just seems like he feels like he needs to do too much, and I don't think he does. I think we have a very talented team. In my opinion, I think on a good day we're top 3 in our conference, and we just don't need him to do as much.
Right. We're scared to make those non-safe plays.
Yeah, because I mean, you specifically mentioned Darwin, but it's not just Darwin. And
no.
We're going to talk about the U.S. Open Cup match.